Welcome, everyone. This is Fillet Noodles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at Blaze Zeus and LOTRO, and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin,
Hi.
Sanswinda,
Hello.
and Calabathian.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. And we'll begin this week with a little update to LOTRO.com, where they have updated LOTRO.com, where the forums, though, are still the old forums. They're intending to fix that either later this year or early next year, they're hoping. And what they have changed, though, is a lot of the older links that exist in forums posts will no longer resolve correctly unless you add the word forums to it. So that's something to note when you are using. Thus, you'll need forums.lotro.com/forums/whatever. And someone was noting that the default thing to go to the top of the forums would be forums dot something else, PHP. So therefore, you'll have forums in there 3 times. We are aware that if you just type in LOTRO.com into a web browser, you are being redirected to the DDO market rather than to the forums. This is related to a redirect issue and that they're working on that. I don't know if they've fixed that. I guess we could see what happens if I just type that in. And, well, right now, if I type in LOTRO.com, I am being brought to the front page of LOTRO. So it looks like that's something that they have fixed. Also, we are currently working on getting the launcher news feeds to display in the game launcher. And in the meantime, the raw XML files can be found in the give locations. For English, lotro.com/en/launcher-feed/.xml. And of course, there's a DE and an FR version for that also. Though they got them backwards in the oh, that was oh, the message had it had the French and German backwards.
The Germans are going to click that and be like, what? Hold up.
Yeah. And they also had a few typos in LOTRO.com to sort through, including several of the French version of the page. That's assuming, of course, you didn't think that there were typos because you clicked on what it said French colon, and which would direct you to the German version anyway. But anyway, so a few things in localization they need to sort out. And we can only hope that they get the feeds up working eventually so that we could have no trouble with. Actually, it looks like the feeds are working now. So it looks like they did sort that through. Right. So you won't have to go through that rigmarole. So they gave the announcement, and it looks like there are a couple of things that have fixes that have since been corrected. So let's go into for update 32, beta number 6. And in this
is the most beta we've had in a while.
Yes, and I think they're expecting a number 7 next week.
I mean, normally they do like 2-3 rounds, and they're like, "Oh, it's good. Let's go with it," and then and then it's kind of really not good. So it's kind of interesting that there's more than 2-3 rounds of beta.
Yeah, I think part of it is because they had the housing. They wanted to get an early look at housing early on in the cycle, but the raid wasn't ready until beta number 4, I believe.
Mm.
So I think that if it weren't for the housing, making them do it particularly earlier than usual, I think it would have probably been the usual. But we had the housing, we had the raid, and we have the reward system all coming in here. So that's probably why there's so many iterations. But yes, and in the raid, they had bosses 1 and 2 on tiers 1 to 3 that were available for feedback on Borer. The plan is to eventually have a 3. So I would guess then that next week I will hope that by next week that they'll have the 3rd boss ready so they can get some feedback on that before the release. So, new updates in here. A display error on Classic Essence examination has been fixed. Added a vector to Thorinhad in the Trollshaws to guide players to the angle of Methaetho. Now when you have a unique essence or tracery in two different weapons, you can equip the second weapon without first unequipping the first. I will presume they're talking like that there are weapons that are in the same slot, because that's the only way I think that would work. I don't think that they mean that you'll be able to slot two at the same time. As for classes, for the champion, partially reverted the bracing attack changes. The skill will now simply apply its self-heal regardless of whether the attack is BPE'd. And as for Runekeepers, fire, frost, and lightning skills are all now labeled as such on their tooltips. And as for instances, they had several updates on the heirs of Thrislot boss in the new raid. And that's it for what was new on Bulwer. That's right, that's the fourth thing, is the angle is also coming up in that update. So let's head into the LOTRO Beacon number 235, which is the first one in the new LOTRO.com.
Yes, it's all revamped and nice looking.
I actually like the new format. It's a little easier to read.
All right, good. You got some votes from LOTRO.com then. I mean, LOTROplayers.com. Let's head into our LOTRO Beacon where, for our community spotlight, Laurel's Den has written up some great information about the upcoming rewards track as seen recently on Bora, and you can read more about that in their blog. It looks like it has the latest information in there because I could see it talking about the item 101, the repeater one, is included in there. And it also talks about how much XP it takes, it looks like, to fill in various parts of the track, depending on your level. That's what I think that's what's talking about in there. Also, Monsters of the Rock debuts on Crick Hollow later this month, and you can find more about this multi-band concert on the LOTRO forums. And let's see, let's talk about Slayer Saturday, which bring any character, any class, and any race to Gladden's Slayer Saturday, and you read more on the Green-Eyed Gamers Twitter feed. Now, I will presume that's a regularly occurring event, rather than just something that was actually just says. Well, it says Slayer Saturday, so I presume that means. Yeah, I'm not. It doesn't make it sound explicitly because it's talking about February 5th, but whether that's just the first day at which they're actually doing it or whether that's a one time only.
If you follow through,
Yeah.
it says that they're going to be off next week, but will return February 19th on Brandywine.
They're jumping from server to server.
It would appear that way.
Okay. Thank you, Sans, for the information. Then, let's into our weekly comment. It wasn't until the discovery of blank that fishing really took off as a hobby in Middle-earth.
Beer.
Hobbits losing their stuff in the water.
I was going to say weeds and rusty daggers, so gotta fish up many of those as possible.
Yeah.
My first thought was actually Mathams, but then I realized that we do a lot more fishing for people's stuff that they just drop.
That is true.
I was wondering whether it was the discovery of fish fillets.
It wasn't until the discovery
could
of
be.
fish that fishing really took off as a hobby.
You know, I could see that being a thing. You have to discover the fish before you try to catch the fish.
Yeah.
And then you discover the weeds and the rusty daggers.
Well, see, I was thinking about the fish fillet meal that's at level 140 because I'm sure a lot of people are fishing now that
Wait, what?
you know
There's a fish fillet meal at 140?
Oh, you didn't know about that?
I did not know about that.
Yes, there is a fish fillet meal at 140 that requires fish and right, so you have to
I now have to log in other champion. You realize this?
Yes, okay, yeah, you have to catch the fish, then you have to fillet the fish, and then you can use it in creating the
Can you use any fish, or do you need any specific fish?
just about any edible fish. And in fact, there's a separate recipe. If you
So
check
kind of
your
like ESO, where you can
Yeah,
catch whatever fish, and then you turn it into fish, and then you use it into fish.
something like that. It's
Fishy
When you
sticks,
have to
by the way,
process a fish 3
Fishy
times
sticks is
before
a
you can
level
use
1
it.
recipe in ESO, and yeah, I have to make it all the
Yeah.
time.
right, fillet fish is a level 1 recipe, is an apprentice level recipe that they also added, and they have something like 15 different recipes there
All
of turn this into
my
fish, this into fish.
non-crafted characters are now going to be fishing, so that other champion can make fishes.
Right. And
So,
in fact,
I've got to say, though, I do like the idea that the other possibility, it's just the discovery of the hobby vendor that started the fishing craze.
well, I guess that would have also done it.
It was a matter of life and death until the hobby vendor came along.
In fact,
Oh, it's for fun!
yes. In fact, the only reason why my main character ever reached Mistress of Streams was because I needed to catch the fish for those recipes. And King makes a video about the rewards track on Bull Roar.
What was that again?
You don't want to hear me try it again.
The sound a sword makes when being hammered at the forge.
Maybe I should try the modern English pronunciation of GH and say Fin.
Guess you could.
Yes. Louis 7 has your journey from the angle of Mythatho, and you can watch the video on YouTube. And, well, while not last week, we did take some selfies in the last published episode.
Now they're going to talk about our Nas Girl Selfies.
Yes.
What about last week? I'm never happy. I'm never happy.
Oh, well.
That was actually an error on my part, and I apologize to everybody. I'm sorry.
And Laurel's Den has updated its version of the LOTRO event schedule, and you could get more info about that at Laurel's Den blog. And Deco de Malou has your Update 32 housing preview, and you get all the details over on their website. And LOTRO Stream is your first stop to find LOTRO on Twitch. This week, the Heart of a Hobbit explores Eregion, the Token Professor quests in Dol Amroth, and Druid Fire finds Sky in an unlikely place.
Hold up. The Token Professor is not in Dol Amroth. Apparently it's Dol Amarth. And I haven't been there, I don't think, but that doesn't sound very nice.
Is Dol Amart ruled by Amarthiel or something?
I don't know. I don't know. But I'm like, Amroth,
Might be something as a result of the conspiracy of the fishmongers or something.
Oh, are we going back to it wasn't until the discovery of the conspiracy of the fishmongers that fishing really took off?
Yes!
Isn't Dol Amroth or Amarth like a place in the plateau of Gorgoroth?
I'm looking it up.
I think they actually mean Dol Amroth, though, because he's in Dol Amroth.
Yeah, that is what
Fair.
he really meant.
Man, they just revamped
You
this
gotta
whole
cut them some
place, and
typo slack.
they just revamped it, and just like just wash my hair, and I can't do a thing with it. I just revamped the whole LOTRO beacon and can't do a thing
cut
with
them
it.
some typo slack, okay?
I am an English teacher.
Jeez. And your typo slack is autocorrect.
Yes, but that's only on my phone.
Anyway, the one that's in Mordor is Dor Amarth.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So, kind of like, but not quite.
Yeah, alike but unlike, yes.
Yeah, well, Tolkien Professor was actually in Dol Amroth, because I just double checked the video.
Yes, he was checking all the Swan Knights who had the same name.
I
And
was about to
Druid's
say maybe it's a combination of Dor Amarth and Dol Amroth. That's going to be like the whole new area, right? Right?
No.
They're slipping in. Okay.
No.
I mean, we were talking about conspiracies
Really,
there for
no.
just a second.
yes. And Druid's Fire, we already talked about that. Also on Twitch, Adiele Valathor travels to Gondor. Gussie Marie finds love for Stout Axe, and Bloodborne heads to Madugard. And over on YouTube, Weird Gaming Adventure discusses some big news. The Tabletop Alliance checks the game out, and Dame Selena helps you earn some free points in a few hours. Now, for our screenshot of the week, a large group of players remembered a friend who passed away recently on Landrival for this week's screenshot of the week. This memorial event for Placo took place on January 29th. Send your screenshots for consideration by emailing it to lotro@sunnystonegames.com. And that is it for this week's Beacon. So let's head over to our store sales. Terry, what's on sale this week?
Let's see. Our weekly coupon code is 20% mount speed with coupon code FASTTROT. That's FASTTROT, all one word, all caps, fast trot. Which actually, if you're at 20% mount speed on top of your regular mount speed, you are going faster than a trot. Faster than even a fast trot. It's like faster than a gallop. Also, we have 20% off shared wardrobe, cosmetic outfit slots, mounted combat trait spec, and mounted combat cosmetic slots, and select cosmetics now through February 10th.
Whee!
And it's Hobnanigans weekend, in case anybody cares.
Hobnanigans weekend. Yeah, there is that too.
Like I said, in case anybody cares.
I'm hearing cricket. So let's head into our weekend gaming. Terry Edwin, what did you do?
Well, Prancerella Dances with Dwarfs led the rejects of Middle-earth, the Rudalath, running around in North Downs, killing all of the spiders on Sunday. So much hate for the next round of questing in North Downs, though, because no, not North Downs, it's Lonelands, I'm sorry. Anyway, the next round of questing is you go down to that orc area, and you kill all of the orcs, which is fine, but then you have to burn corpses and this other, set the barrels of rotting meat on fire. Those disappear when you use them, and you have to do like 6 of each or something crazy like that. And there aren't that many of the corpses. I mean, the barrels reappear really, really fast, and there's way too many of them. But the corpses spawn slower, and there are fewer of them. And so when you're running around with a group of 6 people, oh, so much hate. Because that area is just not fellowship friendly at all. Which is annoying, because that area should totally be fellowship friendly, because it's an old area. So, note to SSG, get on that. while you're revamping some of the older zones, you could maybe take a pass at this questing area, and just make sure that you can actually have multiple people picking up the same thing, so that you're not spending half an hour in the same spot because you're looking for one more of the same thing for 6 people. I know it's not the only area that's like that. Actually, the area that's worse like that is the stones in the South Barrow Downs or North Barrow Downs. When you have to go pick up the stones with runes, there are 4 of them, and you need 3. And if you are questing with anybody other than yourself, somebody is going to be waiting a while. It's just aggravating. Because they said they had fixed a lot of that, and they have fixed a lot of it, but they haven't fixed all of it. So then when you stumble across something like that, it's extra aggravating. And then missions, so many missions. Terry is missioning. She's finally finished, she's done all of the missions at least once. And finished out the Slayer deed, the kill 800 things in missions Slayer deed, which was the advanced one, and then unlocked yet another round of kill things and missions, which she already has finished the first tier of that, and is on to the second tier, which is another 400 things. But killing things in missions for Terry is super easy. It's waiting for other stuff that is less enjoyable. Which is why I like running missions with Fineleaf, because Fineleaf will just click on stuff while I run around and kill things. In fact, one of the missions we did, was it yesterday or the day before? Anyway, I was killing stuff fast enough and so far ahead that he didn't run into anything except for the first monster right at the start of the mission.
Yes. Yeah, that was true.
I don't even remember what it was I was killing. I was in the zone. I didn't have to worry about clicking on anything. I could just keep running and bouncing. I was pulling them in groups. It was glorious. And then I got to the end and I was like, oh, maybe I'll click on 1 or 2 of these final things over here. So that's been fun. And the Joruka Allegiance quests, which are still mildly annoying, but less so than elves, so I'm still doing them. I did run across one that made me feel really, really sorry for the Longbeard in the story. He lost his goat.
Oh.
And that's all I'm going to say about it, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But when you get to the one where the Longbeard has lost his goat, yeah, I felt really sorry for the Longbeard. And the great thing was that the Joruka also felt sorry for the Longbeard, so they actually turned out better than expected. Except for when you find out why the thing was left unattended, that kind of made me giggle. It made sense, but it was like, yeah. And then I have also been slogging through the Lonely Mountain in Craft the World, which is one of the DLCs that they came out with. It's basically their version of Erebor, but instead of, you still have to craft things, but you're going through. You don't get to just pick stuff up out of the world. You're actually questing through this abandoned dwarf base, picking up what was left behind and either restoring it or breaking it down for parts, and fighting goblins, orcs, and trolls. And I finished that kind of in record time, because I actually stumbled across the portal gate way sooner than expected. I was very surprised. They've updated the Guardian, actually. The Guardian isn't a Guardian. It's like an orc chieftain thing, which I'd never seen before. So one of the updates to the game has changed that. I still killed him, and then I built the portal to the next area. So I'm now in what is currently the final level for Craft the World, which is the Heart of Evil DLC, which is more hating on elves, because elves are evil. Dwarves are the good guys, so elves are the bad guys. Sorry for people who like elves, but that's just how it works. And yeah, I actually managed to spawn in close to. They have these raid point things, which are basically kind of sort of a subway, which opens a portal into the elf base, and you can go either fight elves or raid them for gold or whatever. And I actually spawned in close enough to that the first raid that popped, I was able to go into, and I killed a couple of elves, and then I grabbed some gold, and then we were the heck out of there. It's fun. It'll probably take me a couple of days to get through it, but that's okay. It's less intense than an MMO, but that was my week. Calabathian, how about you?
Well, the rejects right again. Glompla got to run in non-healer stance when a proper healing mini joined us for the evening. Pibgorns make for better offensive weapons, probably because they're highly offensive. But I also scooted around on Tuesday night with Cassowary doing some missions and other stuff. No candle death this time, at least, for me. It was a herd of short people on Friday's Academy. Every single one of the people was a brawler except for the dwarf mini, and then we decided to run skirmishes. Or wait, instances? Which one of those?
I think we ran the Great Barrow, right?
Well, we also did the Bells of Dale.
They're instances.
Instances, then. Yes. Bells of Dale. Then Othrangroth. Yeah, we did a couple of those to kind of open those up. But the moral of the story is don't let your healer die. Everybody else will die quickly after. Moral of the story, too, is that dwarf minis probably sing drinking songs to heal you with, so they are highly suitable for packs of tiny brawlers. And Sanswinda, how about you? How was your week?
My week was interesting. I spent most of it trying to breathe. But I did kill some spiders with the rejects. Lots of spiders. And some goblins and wargs. And did some slaying in ESO. Running through, getting all our clockwork foes destroyed. And I managed to find enough space to download Final Fantasy XIV to try. And I've really liked it so far, but I'm not very far in at all. So, how was your week, Fineleaf?
And I'll begin with my Crick Hollow Warden, who completed the quest deed for Gunabad. So that means I have completed all the area quest lines, and I've completed the missions deed for how many missions you gotta do. So all of that is now all done. Of course, it doesn't qualify me to find the gems yet, because in order to find those, I still need to get all the discoveries and also to do all the Slayer deeds. So I still got a little bit more work to do before I'm all done with Gunabad on that character. Over in ESO, I completed the Cadwell Silver quest parts for Aradon and Grotwood, though that means I've got, I think, 3 more zones in order to do that before I could finish up Cadwell Silver.
Yeah, I'm halfway through Green Shade.
All right. Yeah, looks like I'm halfway through Green Shade, but that's mainly because it so happens that I must have done half the zone several months back or something like that, because I see that I have check marks on half the items in there, despite the fact that I haven't been in there in a long time. And finally, in DDO, I defeated the Dread Pirate Roberts.
What?
Yeah, I was really funny when I was doing it. I was going through a quest in there called the Portent of Dread, which is their prelude to the Isle of Dread, which is an upcoming, which I think is going to be the next update for DDO. And in that time, while getting ready, running the thing, halfway through it, I'm given a quest by someone that apparently an item that I was looking for had been stolen by Dread pirates from the Isle of Dread. So as I started fighting these things, I recorded this particular one. So I jokingly said, "Oh right, so what's the boss going to be called? Roberts?" Because all the pirates had first dreadful pirate, then assistant dread pirate, and all that stuff. I said, "So who's the final boss going to be? Roberts?" And as I was approaching the ship, sure enough, the objective text changed to "Kill Dread Pirate Roberts."
Oh, that's funny.
so So yes. So therefore, in DDO, I defeated Dread Pirate. Obviously, based on his appearance, it was probably not one of the better Dread Pirate Roberts out there. I mean, certainly he didn't seem like he was as good as Wesley was as being a Dread Pirate Roberts. But
Well,
all
clearly
right,
not.
yeah, I suppose after Wesley, the title must have gone downhill. And that concludes my week in gaming for this week. Our top supporter this month is LOTRObuild.com. LOTRObuild.com is a full LOTRO database that includes an items database, a relics database, and a titles database. Also, you can use it right from your Discord server with LOTRObuild bot. We currently have 14 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, you could go to the donations page. We can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money will be used for podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send one, you can send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com. You can also to Twitter, the Players Alliance @Players Ally, LOTRO Players @LOTRO Players, Arendis @Arendis, Pineleaf Needles @Pineleaf Needles, Sunswinda @Sunswinda, Terry Adwin @Terry Adwin, Guarendis @Guarendis, Calabathian @Calabathian. And the Players Alliance has 2 shows on Saturday, 30 p.m. US Time. We have LOTRO Players News, and we record DDO Players News when Drac is available. And you can join us for our shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight, and this is Polly Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.